Welcome back to another episode of the Girls Cafe, where we create a caring atmosphere for emotions. This is a space for real conversations about resilience, growth, and most importantly, empowerment. I am Shawnna, and on today's episode, we'll be discussing the art of letting go, finding peace without closure. So grab your favorite drink, meal, or snack, settle in, and let's talk about what truly matters. Let me ask this. Have you ever found yourself waiting for an apology that never came? Or an explanation that was never given? What about a final conversation that just never happened? If so, you're not alone. One of the hardest lessons I've had to learn is that closure isn't always something that we get from others. Sometimes it's something we just have to give to ourselves. There was this time that I was ghosted, and I'm not ashamed to share this ghost story either. I remember liking this guy, and I honestly thought he liked me. Matter of fact, he was the guy that I spoke about in episode 2 who went on vacation, and I didn't really talk to him while he was on vacation. That guy. But we had deep conversations, like really cool conversations. We spent some time together, we hung out, and everything seemed to be going well. But after he came back from vacation, something felt off. I asked him about it. He denied that anything was wrong. He said he had just been busy with work, but deep down, I knew that something was off. I'm like, you sure everything's good? Because, kind of getting some ghosting vibes here. He's like, no, everything's good. We're going to hook up soon. We'll go out. I'm like, okay. And shortly after that, he ghosted me. There was no explanation. There was no response, texts or calls, just complete silence. And let me just say this. There was nothing there. This was not a sexual relationship at all. This was just really genuinely me getting to know someone who I thought would eventually at least become a friend, if nothing else. But like I said, man just disappeared. And at first I had questions like, what changed? Did I do something? Did I say something wrong? But then I realized that there was no answer that could change what had already happened. The best thing I could do for myself was to stop trying to figure out why and just let go. So I deleted his number. And as it turns out, that was the best thing that I could have done, because him ghosting me, all that did was make space for something greater, which is meeting my current husband. So the lesson that I learned from that, and it was something that I had heard before, that sometimes what feels like rejection is actually a redirection. So I'm learning that closure doesn't come from getting the answers. It comes from deciding you don't need them. When I look back, I'm grateful he ghosted me, because if he hadn't, I might have stayed attached to something or someone that wasn't meant for me. And I never would have been in the right place, in the right space mentally to meet the man who was. I'm big on affirmations, and this is one that I've just been saying lately, is what's meant for me will be. I release what no longer serves me, and I trust that something better is coming. And you should too. But why do we struggle to let go? Even when we know something or someone is no longer good for us, letting go still isn't easy. We hold on to relationships, situations, and even the memories, sometimes jobs, long past their expiration date. But why? I have a couple of reasons why. I'll share them, and then you can tell me if it matches you. It's the need for answers. We convince ourselves that if we just knew why, it would hurt less. But would it really? I used to believe that if I could just get an explanation, I'd be able to move on. But looking back, I realized that no answer would have changed the outcome. There's also the fear of moving on. Sometimes holding on feels safer than accepting that something is over. Even if it's painful, at least it's familiar. We tell ourselves that if we let go, we'll never find something better. But what if that's not true? My testimony now tells me that that's not true. Then there's also the emotional attachments and the what ifs. What if I had done something differently? What if they come back? What if I never find another friend, partner, relationship, or even a job like that? The what ifs keeps us tied to something that no longer serves us. And the truth is, if something or someone was meant for you, you wouldn't have to hold on so tightly. Holding on to what ifs in my previous marriage. When my ex-husband and I separated, there was a whole year before I actually filed for divorce. And during that time, I wrestled with the what ifs. What if we just needed more time? What if we could fix what was broken? What if we went to counseling? What if divorce wasn't the only option? What if we just needed more time to be separated? But the more I held on to those thoughts, the more I delayed my own healing. I had to accept that some things don't need more time, they need closure. I wasn't spending time with this person. We wasn't trying to build towards rekindling. And when I finally let go of the what ifs, I made room for something better. I made room for peace. And when I think back on that particular time after I filed for divorce, people began to tell me, like, you just got this glow to you. You look like you're doing real good. He don't look like he doing so good. That was a joke that my cousin said to me. I'm like, hey, I'm just embracing what is. I remember I started to excel in my career. I was getting promotion after promotion and getting back to a place that I thought I had lost. I was no longer struggling financially. I was just in a good place. But letting go of my marriage wasn't just about closing a chapter. It was really about making space for a new one. And I had no idea that by releasing what was no longer meant for me, I was opening the door for something greater. Like, I didn't know it then, but the moment I chose to let go was the moment I unknowingly made space for the man who will one day become my husband. Letting go, it does hurt, but holding on to something that's already gone, that hurts even more. And then there's the habit of over explaining and seeking closure, because we spend so much energy trying to make sense of what happened, trying to rewrite the past in our heads. But closure doesn't come from replaying the past. It comes from accepting the present. Letting go isn't about pretending it didn't happen, because it did. It's about deciding it no longer controls you. It no longer occupies space in your mind. So even if you can't see what's ahead yet, you have to trust that something better is coming. So I'll ask this. What's one thing you've been holding on to because of the what ifs? Take a moment and ask yourself if it's truly serving you. So now that we understand why letting go is so hard, the next question is, how do we actually do it? How do we move forward when we never got the closure that we wanted? That was actually a question that someone just recently asked me. A really good girlfriend of mine, she asked me that question about letting go without closure. Letting go, it isn't a one-time decision. It's a process. And while it may not happen overnight, there are steps we can take to release what no longer serves us. And step one would be acceptance, acknowledging what is. The first step in letting go is accepting reality for what it is and not for what we want it to be. I had to accept that my previous marriage was over, that no amount of what ifs would change what had already happened. And that was hard, but holding on to false reality would have only kept me stuck. What truth have you been avoiding because it's painful to accept? And I'll tell you this, give yourself permission to accept what you cannot change. I give myself permission to accept what I cannot change, and you should as well. Step 2, releasing the need for an apology or an explanation. Some people will never give you the apology you deserve. And even if they did, would it really change anything? Because we wait for closure thinking it would heal us. But sometimes the only thing keeping us from healing is the waiting itself. When I was ghosted, I'm not going to lie, I wanted answers. I wanted to know what changed. But I realized that knowing wouldn't undo what had already been done, which is the feeling of being ghosted. So I chose to move forward without needing an explanation. And if you're struggling and moving forward, here's a practical tip. Write a letter to the person or the situation you're letting go of. Say everything you need to say. Then decide whether to keep it, burn it, throw it away, tie it to a bird and let it fly away, whatever it is. Once you figure that part out, then I need you to affirm that I release the need for closure from anyone but myself. Step 3 is creating your own closure. Closure is not something someone gives you, it's something you create for yourself. And how can you do that? You can try writing a goodbye letter, even if you never send it. Just don't send a text message. Shifting the focus, instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what did this teach me? You can let go with love and not resentment. Now let me ask this. What would closure look like for you if it didn't depend on another person? And affirm it. I choose to create my own closure and move forward with peace. Step 4 is finding peace and moving forward. Letting go isn't just about releasing pain. It's about making room for something better. What if what's ahead is so much greater than what you're leaving behind? I know, it's hard to believe, right? But trust me, there's something good in front of you. For so long, I held on to pain of my past, whether it was past disappointments, past heartbreaks, past mistakes. But the moment I made the decision to release it, again, I unknowingly made space for my future, for healing, for peace, and eventually for the love that was truly meant for me. Because when you hold on to the pain, you're not protecting yourself. Me holding on to that pain didn't protect me. It only kept me stuck. And the moment I let it go, I was finally free. I trust that something better is coming. Say that with me. I trust that something better is coming. Now, what I do know is letting go is never easy. But holding on to something that's already gone will only keep you from stepping into what's next. So I'm going to give you a challenge like I always do. What's one thing you're choosing to release today? Think about it. Say it out loud. Scream it to the gods. And trust that in letting go, you're making space for something greater. And in closing, I would like to share that you don't need permission to move forward. You don't need an apology to heal. And you don't need closure to let go. I thank you for tuning in to another episode. I hope to see you again soon, so subscribe, like, share this page. If this resonated with you, make sure that you come back for more. If you think someone can benefit from this message, be sure to share it with them so that I can reach a larger audience. I would love to hear from you. Tell me what's one thing that you're releasing today. You can send it to me in my DM, leave a comment, or just share your reflection. Let's support each other in this journey of letting go and stepping into something better. And until next time, and as always, I always like to say, peace and one love. Take care.